weight loss today. But first, let's go on a little trip. I'm gonna show you guys something. Back to Selfless. Now, before I get into the topic on my latest Instagram post about the trending pattern in all of my 8 other episodes, I want to talk to you a little bit about yourself. Your short attention span is such a horrible quality, and we need to purge it right away. In order for you to do that, you have to understand why. First of all, I don't like talking about this as much as you don't like listening to it. You can only take so much in a short period of time, and after that period of time is over, everything else is mumbo jumbo. Remember, this is not something that you're going to absorb on the first view. You have to go over it several times. It's a programming phase. The first phase of this entire process is the programming. In order for you to achieve it, you have to sit through it. You have to be able or be willing to gain that endurance, because you're going to need it in the future. Everything that you succeed in is going to be something that you're going to have to retain, so that way you can repeat the process several times. One of the first tricks that I had to learn was to listen. And that was from an early age. I mean, I'm talking, I was 14, maybe 15 years old, listening to bodybuilders, people that I looked up to that were either on film or in person. Someone who's been through the struggle and wasn't scared of telling people the truth. That's what I'm here to do. I have to tell you the truth in this, because if you don't hear it straight, this problem will succeed into the generations that follow you. Your inability to retain everything that your parents taught you is also a bad trait. Don't eat that before you finish your lunch. Don't eat that before you finish your dinner. I'm talking about sugars and sweets and all the special things that make you an adult, or at least the things that you thought make you an adult, because as soon as we got into teenagehood and got a paycheck, everything seemed easy for us, right? But there were bad habits that we started to build. And the building blocks of that bad habit are so distant that you don't even know how you did it. But you did it the same way that I'm trying to get you to lose weight. It was a mental process. Have you ever had so much junk food you feel so guilty you go and buy a salad? Well, that's the same way weight loss works. You go and you lose weight, you fight it off, and then you kind of give up. So you go and eat some trash or some dirty food. That's what I call it, because that's all it is. It goes right through you. A little side note, something I used to do, a little trick. Everything that you do with food in your mouth, it pleases you, right? You're chewing, you're tasting. Now, what happens if you don't swallow? You just don't consume it. So a little tip, a little trick that I used to do was, and this is something I did at work because it bugged the crap out of me, that people would bring us boxes of donuts, and it would make everyone in the tape room fat. So what I used to do was I would take it either to the break room or I would actually consume them myself. But the difference between me and someone else consuming them was huge. Here's the reason why. I would chew the donut, but I wouldn't swallow it. I spit out every single piece. I never consumed any of it, and it fulfilled me because I was only looking for the texture and the flavor. I didn't really care for what it did to me on the inside. We all know what donuts do to you. So back to my main topic, which is the trending pattern that I have in my process that matches something else that you've already experienced in your life. Childhood, adolescence. During that time in your life, you experienced traits that your parents tried to give you, which I've already talked about. It matches up what you need to do right now. The same way your parents tried to raise you is the same way you need to raise yourself when you're making this change. Now, I didn't intentionally attach the two, but they match up. Let me make that a little bit more clear. When you're a kid, your parents don't want anyone else to be around you that is a bad influence, because influences do affect us. And if you have more bad influences than good, well, guess what? They may not have any control over you, but they do influence you. A little side note on this topic, that's why I made this, because I don't like the influencers that are out there right now that don't influence you in the right way. Back to the topic. So, if you remember your childhood, you'll remember how easy it was to grow up, playing, doing whatever it was to evolve into the teenager that you were supposed to be or adult. Except it didn't quite match up to what it was you thought it was. So that is where we are now. That is where I brought you. Because it's the closest thing to weight loss that you can understand. It's something that is so present in your memory that all you have to do is think about it for a second, and I'm sure you can bring up a few topics that would match up to exactly what it is that I'm trying to get you to do with weight loss. Number one, let me just give you a little reminder. Get rid of all the bad influences. Number two, don't pay attention to what your family tells you as far as having fun or producing growth. So don't expect to feel special when you brag about how you can't listen to someone, because that is a bad quality. Something that I don't look at as human. It's something you develop over being tired or lazy. Because listening is not a work, it's not a job, it's not something that is difficult to do. All you have to do is have the patience or the desire. And the desire only comes from necessity. And that's where you messed up, because you didn't think this was a necessity and now you're paying for it. But see, here's where you're doing a double whammy. You being stubborn and not admitting that you need this is not something that just came to you. You're doing it because you've already told yourself and others, I don't need to do that. I'm good. I look fine. I don't need to work on anything because as I get older, medicine will get better, right? That's not exactly the case. Every single time you go to the doctor, what does he tell you? You're not working out enough. Oh, do some exercise. Maybe, but they'll never be able to guide you. Doctors are not personal trainers. They won't step into that conversation, even with me, because they can't say they're experts because they're not. Why would they help you or try to if they don't even know how to help themselves? That's because there isn't a medicinal or a approved process. So, do I think I'm special? Absolutely. Now, the only difference between me and a network show with someone talking about something similar is the network. But I would put my philosophy through the Pepsi challenge against anyone else's. It doesn't mean that they're wrong. I'm just saying that my philosophy works, if not better. Last thing I want to leave you with, because I'm just about done. Start slow, finish strong. Try and remember that, and I'm going to tell you over a couple of times. Start slow, finish strong. Start slow, finish strong. What we're doing right now is we are starting slow and we're going to finish strong. That means whether if you're working out, you're about to start working out, you're about to start eating correctly, start slow, finish strong. Starting slow and finishing strong means you always win. And always winning is the only thing you can do from now on because you don't have a choice. If you don't do this, your kids are going to have to do this. Right now, your kids are probably suffering through watching you go through this. And if you're kids, if you are a kid, you're probably looking to someone for the advice that they don't even have. So it's messed up on both sides, but it's no one's fault. To put this on the parents is like saying you should have known by now. Here's one thing that happens to you as parents that kids don't understand. When you have a kid or you have kids, your brain stops growing. You may think otherwise, but I know for a fact that when that child is born, your mindset is on raising that child. It is not on you. Everything stops for you and everything starts for them. Don't let them carry this on. If you can't do it for yourself, at least point them in the right direction. Put them onto Selfless Mike. Let them watch and be able to judge for themselves. Now again, we're just in the very beginning. We've got a year of all this to go. I'm not even going to step into the gym yet until after a year. But that's how this process works. We got to start slow and finish strong. Because there's no other choice. You don't have a choice. Click your notification bell, subscribe, and share. You guys have a good day.